Chinedu is an accredited edge expert by the International Finance Corporation, a certified carbon accounting professional, a project management professional with other local and international credentials to back and to validate his profession. Chinedu is a fellow of the Institute of Professional Managers and an administrator of Nigeria, IPNA. He is a current General Secretary of the IFMA Nigerian chapter. He is a member of the Energy Institute of Nigeria and a member of the Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria, ISPON. He is also a professional member of the Green Building Council of Nigeria. Chinedu has gathered so much credentials and certifications that made him to be one of the experts that can take us on this sustainability drive. So Chinedu, before we continue, we want to tell everybody, hope you have your writing materials, have your jotter. Make sure the environment where you are is safe. Make sure you are well seated. Make sure you are always very conscious of what is happening around you. Make sure you pay attention. We are going to have question and answer session at the end of this training. If you have anything you want to ask or any comments, you can jot it down and wait until Chinedu is done with the session. Please do not distract others. If you want to talk, you can unmute yourself or you will be called to unmute yourself. As you are joining, make sure your camera, if you want us to see your face, no problem. If not, you can turn off your camera and make sure your mic is muted. So Chinedu, you are welcome, and I'm going to leave the floor for you to continue. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, confirm you can hear me, please. Hello?
We can hear you very well, sir. We can hear you, sir.
All right, thank you, everyone, and it's my privilege to actually be the one that will be taking us on this topic. It's something that you know is applicable in our homes. It's something that is applicable in our worship areas, but somehow it's been neglected. And I want to appreciate the organizer, the SLP, for taking up on this particular topic. So I'm going to be speaking on something that we all know about. I'm not sure there's anything I'm going to be mentioning here will be strange to any one of us. So we encourage us to, be attentive. We encourage us to also, participate. I like, engaging in the course of my, trainings, so that we can all be open, to ask questions and also give feedback. Welcome once again to this training. As it has been put, we're looking at strategies for water conservation in facilities or in our facilities or whichever facility you put. So conservation rather is all about, we can also say, strategies for water savings in our facilities. All right. So the key aim or objective of this training is for us to be able to understand the best strategies for improvement or improving on water conservation. So, what are those? At the end of this training, I expect that we should be able to understand, the strategies, what we can adopt to be able to improve on water savings in our facilities. I expect that at the end of this training, we should be able to understand the advantages around water saving. So if we don't see it as a big deal before now, so maybe after this training, we're going to see, oh, it's actually a big deal and something we need to take cognizance of, something that we really need to put action in place. And that's the third one. What are the actions needed? Because at the end of the training, there will be actions, for implementation. Because after the training, if there's nothing you're taking home, or there's nothing you're going to be doing after, then it means that the training won't make any sense. So as at the end of the training, I expect that we should have take homes, something we should take as action plan that we can do afterwards. Then the next one is to improve our general knowledge. Yeah, Obi mentioned safety compliance, safety, sustainability compliances. This should be able also be able to, bring up our knowledge when it comes to sustainability, particularly in the area of water conservations. So please, I want you to also confirm that you can hear me, please. I hope we're together. Confirm, can hear me.
We can hear
Yes,
you.
we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. So by the way of introduction, water is one of the most important natural resources and essential for survival of all living things. No wonder, there's a popular saying that, or a song that said, water no get enemy. It's more like it's involved in almost everything we do. Homes, offices, anywhere, mention it. I'm not sure there's anywhere we don't have any need for water. And so a report has it that global water consumption has grown at more than twice the rate of population increase in the last century. So it means that the consumption in terms of, population is growing by double. It means that the increase of water consumption is like double of the population. The record says, why is population the last century? They also says, record also has it like developing countries increased by another 50%. Water consumption as it increased, consumption of what happens.
Hello.
Hello, we can't hear
I
you.
can't hear you.
Hello.
So, Chindeu, we can hear you.
Hello. I'm hearing you. I don't know why you can't hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
lost
I can hear you now.
point, but you can
Yes.
continue, sir.
I don't know what happened. So I was given that introduction. I said, so there's every likelihood that as the population increases and water consumption increases, there's also that likelihood that, there will be shortages, people scrambling for water all over the places. I don't know how many of us, had been in villages or personally I lived in the north, and there were some instances, particularly during the dry season, you had to take jerry cans, containers, and you would trek some distance before you're able to see water. So what we're saying is that, yeah, I don't know where we're living. I don't know how available water is in our areas. But the bottom line is that from the statistics, from the reports, it's likely that water scarcity will increase. And if by the reason of this training and by the reason of all the sustainability measures, there are plans in place to reduce water consumption so that the availability of water will increase, then it means that you and I needs to do what? Take some strategic steps. And that's actually why this training is happening, so that we can be able to, improve and increase our knowledge and awareness around this water conservation. Now, I said, hence, 1.8 billion people will suffer absolute water scarcity. That's what the record says, or that's what the report says. 2/3 of the population will have water stress conditions. It means that they will look for water, they will not see. It means that 2/3 of population, if water is not properly managed, they will be, trying to see how they could get water to meet their needs, and they won't see. And I don't also know whether you have been in a situation before and you needed water, not just drinking water. There had been a situation where a time, I don't know whether as a student, yeah, I couldn't see water. There was no water. I had to buy pure water. And the pure water, whether, a student now with the money and everything, I would say that time money too was too much. Whether it was 3 sachets of water or 4 sachets of water, I just opened it, put inside a bucket because I know I needed to take my bath and go to school. Was it comfortable? Was it okay? No, but what the situation was, what it is, and I also needed to find a minimal solution around it to be able to meet my needs of taking my bath at that particular point in time. So this is like, if we don't do what we're supposed to do, if we don't take it as something we need to do, if we don't make all the efforts that we need to put in place to be able to preserve and manage water consumption, this forecast, which is 2/3 of the population, which means where you have 100 people, you'll be talking about 75 persons that are suffering for water scarcity. It means that it will be a problem. And that's why we all need to go to work in terms of water conservation. Yeah, I have a question here. Look at this tab. This will actually give us a concept of what the training is talking about. We'll have a man that is behind a tap, and we'll have a currency flowing from the tap. In relation to what we're talking about now, water conservation or water savings, I need somebody that can help me give a direct interpretation to this, or as much as possible. I say, by what I put down, I said, you make more money by closing the taps, and you lose more by opening the tap. So as this man is closing the tap, what happens? More money is rushing out. As he's opening the taps, the less the money that will be coming from the tap. I need somebody that can give me accurate, by my own concept of this training, which I'm trying to bring out. I need somebody that can be able to give us a direct interpretation. The first response, or the first accurate response, gets a 1,000 Naira recharge card from me. I don't know who wants to respond. Who can give us interpretation of this image in relation to the training? If we're able to pick this, then the remaining part of the training is made easy. So you have to help me look at, I have a hand up. Okay.
Okay, I think somebody wants to say something. Chuchu, go ahead.
The first accurate answer gets 1K recharge card after this training.
So who is going to win this recharge card? Malik, Chuchu, Gideon. Yes, he can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
As I heard 1,000 recharge card, I raised my hand. So, but I just joined the meeting. But looking at this diagram, yes, water is very valuable. I saw the previous slide. And with regards to what I saw, you make more money by closing the tap. Yes, we save money by being I think is being, the word I'm looking for is sustainable. We have to engage sustainable practices in how we use water, because it's becoming a valuable resource all over the earth. I believe out of all the water on earth, I think is about 30, I'm not sure now, about 30% that is drinkable. So I understand this diagram in that term, that as we save water, we have more potable water, more water that can be used. And as the mismanagement or use sparingly, we lose more water. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have another attempt. Not accurate, must be accurate.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My name is John. I was trying to raise my hand because I'm using my phone. I don't know.
Go on, sir.
This diagram.
Yes, sir.
This diagram is simply letting us know that by the time you open up your tap, you expend resources. For example, your pumping machine utilizes electricity. utilizes utilizes electricity, and your electricity costs you money. Is sometimes your generator to power your facility. So you increase the need. You increase the need to expend resources by opening up your tap. And conversely, when you shut up your tap, the need to expend those resources will be reduced, thereby you saving money. So that's my understanding and interpretation of this diagram there.
Perfect response. Thank you very much, sir. Perfect response. But I'm now wondering whether are you the one that is going to win the recharge card, or you want to give it to somebody?
Okay, give me my recharge card.
Okay, no problem, sir. It's a promise. That will be done after the training. Thank you very much.
Donate it to somebody.
Okay, thank you, sir. That gives.
Thank you.
Yes, so that is like, the brief of what we are looking at today. And like I said, it's all about what this training, the concept of this training is all about that. So by the time you learn to close the taps, by the time you learn to save water, you will be saving bills. You'll be saving other expenses. You will be making more savings from other things, repairs and maintenance that shouldn't have happened if you are done, if you had closed the taps, or if you have minimized the pressure from the tap. Which on the other way around, when you open it up, there will be need for maintenance, there will be increase in utility bill, there will be failures and here and there, and you will be spending more money to fix those things. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. That was a perfect response. Now, water savings measures. We're looking at number one. I said prompt repair of leakages. Identifying and fixing leakages promptly can save as much as 10 to 20% water consumption. What this is saying is that in most cases, it might not be as big as this, what you have on the drawing. In some instances, it might look as if it is drop. It doesn't really matter. After all, the thing is, I've also gone to a site before. I noticed the leakage. The technician was like, so it's not leaking much now, it's just a small leakage. So that's why we didn't, pay too much attention to it, because it wasn't something to worry about. But by the time you put a bucket there and leave it overnight, you will now see how that translates to the quantity of water that is being wasted. By the time you leave it for 1 week, you can imagine that drums of water would have been wasted for something that you see as a minor leakage. So what this is calling us to do, that this, if we must be able to save this up to 10 to 20% in water consumption, that happens if we don't, or that will happen if we save, that won't happen if we don't save, then we must encourage walkthroughs. It means that, and that's why, what's the sense of the walkthrough? The essence of the walkthrough is for you to be able to be proactive, for you to be able to see issues. And when you are proactive, you'll be able to see that leakage as it's happening when it's still minor. Because when you look at this drawing, you see that there's possibility that it's not, that leakage didn't just start. It's something that started one side, and before you know what is happening, it has opened up in another place. And maybe while it was starting, people didn't pay serious attention. They felt, it didn't matter. The thing is not, after all, we still have water that we're using. So how is it affecting me? How is it affecting us? There's still water there. And some instances, it could just be an ordinary tap. It's common that sometimes you see a tap and you lock it. It's closed, but you still see water coming out. So to look at it, shade the tap is locked. The tap get problem. We'll fix them. We'll fix them. You get? So we don't see the wastages that is happening. And this is telling us that by the time we don't address it promptly, we will be wasting as much as 20% of water consumption. So we said regular walkthrough should be encouraged. Team responsibility, report every leakages immediately. What that means is that I don't necessarily need to be a plumber or a plumber. I don't necessarily need to be a cleaner. If I'm an electrician, if I see leakage, if we have that team responsibility, if we see ourselves as a team, if I see leakage, I need to call those that are responsible. Those I know that are plumbers, those that understand what to do, to say, I saw leakage, so please, can you come? I know you are cleaners because that has a direct impact of their work. In most of the times do that, but beyond the cleaners, an electrician should not say, because this one water issue after all, my own is electrical, and you pass by. A painter should not pass by and say, after all, how would you concern painter with water leakage? By the time we take it as team responsibility in terms of water savings, in terms of water conservations, what happens? Every team member sees his or her role, ensuring there's no wastage of water. So it means that if I see it, I call who is responsible. If you see it, you call who is responsible. And it becomes a team responsibility, ensuring that anywhere we see water leaking, whether it's in-house, indoors, whether it's external, whether it's within the premises, whether it's in our homes, we'll have the responsibility to do what? To report it immediately and ensure that water, the leakage is stopped. By the time we do this, you'll save up to 10-20% of in water consumption. You can know what that can translate when it comes to savings and the quantities in consideration to what you use at home or the place of work and the rest of them. So use of automatic and aerators consumption faucets. So what does this mean? Of course, we understand the aspect of automatic. Yeah, in most places that you see auto water automatic what's it called, taps that is only when you put your hand. You can also see urinals that are automated. You also see what's it called? There is also urinals that are waterless. You don't use water, and so many other things like that, which are plumbing fittings that have actually come up. And what this is telling us that you can save as much as 50% by the time you apply, or by the time you're able to do what's it called? You're able to automate your taps. And this aerators, as you can see it here, if you can, there's a drawing here. It has happened to me. Many of us will also have that experience. What happens is that if you see most modern taps, you see there's something that is covered with you won't see this directly open. You will see there's always a cover at the tap, at the tip of the tap. So those are the aerators we are talking about. It reduces the flow rate without affecting the pressure. What happens is that if it was supposed to be 1 liter or 5 liters or 6 liters per minute, it will give you the same pressure, but this is supposed to reduce the flow maybe to 4 liters. So which means instead of utilizing 6 liters per minute, you're using 4 liters. From personal experience, there was a time, I bought a tap, without this knowledge. I was like, this thing the rush well. You get, I was like, I needed, because maybe the one I was using there before was open to share. I needed something that could just, so I just saw this. I said, now this thing may cause a problem. I just removed it. I said, let the water flow normal, John. You get? So I'm sure most of us would have, found ourselves in that situation where you don't understand the essence of that thing, the aerators that is put at the tip of the taps, particularly the modern day taps, so that the pressure can actually do what it does not affect the pressure, but what the flow. And by the time the flow reduces, what happens? You are saving water. The same thing, like I said, on automatic taps, it means that the flow is not continuous. It means that the flow is regulated. When you put your hand, it flows. Immediately you remove your hand, it stops. And from the indices and from statistics and from report, it says you can save as much as 50% when you use all these appliances, or in some cases up to 70%. So the meaning is that if you have a tank, let me say, for instance, a 10,000 liters GP tank, it means that in a day, if you are consuming that 50,000, let's say 10,000 liters in a day, it means that you can save as much as 5,000. You can save as much as maybe 3,000 liters per day. And what that means is that if you pump your water on daily basis before, but because you're not saving 50%, because you don't have all these aerators, you don't have all those auto taps, you will not be pumping maybe once in 2 days. And what that happens, just like as Mr. John explained to us, what happens? The bills, because whatever that happens to the water, whatever that happens to the taps, whatever that happens to the pumps, has a direct interpretation on what? On the electricity bills. The next one, dual flushing WCs. Can somebody help us to explain this? I need somebody that has understanding of what this dual, flushing system, how to use it, what it means, and how it can operate. I need a hand up. Who can help us? Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing Samuel Benjamin. Obi, can you help me coordinate the aspects? So who can help us explain how this is used, how it is efficiently used?
Mr. Samuel, let's hear from Samuel. Samuel wants to see. Samuel Benjamin, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, good afternoon once again.
Yeah.
Okay, to my little knowledge, that's those two things that looks like button. The smaller one represents P for P. Then the bigger one is for heavy sludge. So that's little knowledge I have for that. So to use it right, when you pee, you use the smaller one to flush and use the bigger one for heavy sludge. I don't know if I did justice to how to use them.
Thank you very much, Samuel. That is perfect. Is anybody here that could be sincere enough to tell us that before this day, you don't understand what this double flushing system is?
Myself.
Do we have anybody that is sincere enough? Because before now, or before my, before I had a good knowledge of this, if I use toilets, what I do is I put my 2 hands on the 2 of them so that, the water could, rush. Well, when I pee, I put hand on the 2 of them. Whatever I do, I put hand on the 2 of them. And it might not be in this form. You also see the ones that are on the wall, but the bottom line is that you will see that one is bigger than the other. And the direct or the accurate interpretation for efficiency water use is that when you pee, you do what? You use the small one, just like as Samuel said. But when you do the big one, you use the big one. That's actually what this thing means. So this is actually a water saving measure, a water saving strategy. So which means in your house, in the workplace or whatever, this, if you still have those ones that has, the hand by the side that you just, turn it and the water flushes, then it means that you need to reconsider. Yeah, it might be initially capital intensive, but let's also look at it. It says it could increase the volume of water if you don't use it rightly, if there's no good knowledge, like Obi was saying, and some of us here might be guilty of, if we don't have the knowledge or good knowledge of this, it could actually increase water consumption by 50%. So what is, and if they do not flush adequately, that's if this is not working properly, it means that the aim of actually putting it in place is defeated. So you must flush properly for you to be able to get accurate result. So this can save, there's no S there, save up to 200,000 liters in a year. I was like, is this possible? I did a rough calculation in my head. Let me assume that a WC tank is 5 liters, or let me say 10 liters. And the small one, let's even do equal. Let's say the small one flushes at 5 liters, the big one maybe 5 liters. And you're able to, let me say, in a place like GOP, you have like, before we even get there, let's even use one, for instance. When you flush with a small one, you save 5 liters. And you go to maybe 3 or 4 times in a day. Or let me say 5 people uses that place to urinate in a day, and you're able to save 5 liters. If you do 5 liters times 5, you have saved 25 liters of water in a day. Then if is where you have 10 WCs that people use at different instances in an office, you are saving like 250 liters times 10. That's 2,500 liters of water in a day. Multiply it by 30. Multiply it in a year. Then look at now in a place where you now have 50, 70, 80 numbers of WC that are actively in use on daily basis. You can do that calculation by yourself and now see what you can be able to save when it comes to water consumption. And at the same time, the reverse case is that for every time you go back to the toilet and you put your hand on the two buttons and you press, you also see that you are doing what? You are putting more pressure on the use of water. It means that you are also increasing the consumption of water by 50%, or let's say on the minimum by 30%. So by this knowledge means that anywhere you, particularly where you have it in place, you must take cognizance of, oh, when I will, I must use the small one. And also not doing just that yourself. You also need to pass this knowledge to people around you to say, no, the two of them, they are no longer for, when you go, you use the two. The small one is actually when you urinate. The big one is actually when you go to a toilet. That's how we can achieve water savings by using these dual flushing WCs. Please confirm we're still together.
Yes, we are, sir. Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're moving to another point. And that is, okay, I still have Samuel's hand over. Maybe that was one he raised before. Okay, so we're looking at introducing swimming pool covers. I'm also using a personal experience. In some instances, I never thought it was something necessary. I used to see it as something you do, to prevent deaths from dropping inside the pool so that they can minimize, the frequency of going to the pools to maintain, to pick the debris and the papers and all the, things that drops inside the pool. But with my increased awareness and sustainability, I now see that water and heat are lost through evaporation from the surface of the pool. I don't know what that bus is here. There's one of the estates that will maintain for every 2 days, for every 3 days, we must introduce, what is it called? Hose inside it to be able to refill it. I am also aware that this happens with some other places. You begin to wonder, every day this pool is shorting water. What is happening? So the bottom line is that part of the water in the swimming pool is being lost through evaporation, which is, of course, is natural. We all learned that when we're doing geography, when we're doing sciences, that, water evaporates back to the cloud. So when you use swimming pool cover, you're able to reduce the use of water from the supply source. It means that when you're able to, apart from the maintenance aspect, reducing the aspect of common cleaning, the top of the pool water, you will also be minimizing that evaporation that happens from the pool water. And what that happens is that the frequency of refilling the pool is also reduced. And when the frequency of refilling the pool is reduced, what happens? The frequency of pumping water is reduced. The frequency of pumping water is reduced. The increase in tariff is also reduced. I know so many of us will know what the tariff, whether you're in band A now, whether you're in band B or whichever band you are. You even know that there is no band that is even when it comes to payment of people. All know that tariff has actually gone up everywhere. So by this teaching and by this lecture means that whatever way, I know it's not, it might not be all locations. There may be some locations don't have swimming pool. People that manage in state have pools. People that maybe in some houses, there are pools. Even for our own knowledge, yeah, it might not be applicable to, all the facilities that we are in, but the knowledge is also for us to be able to do or to say, yeah, this is necessary in case I come across a facility that has pool. I should be able to recommend the cover because these are some of the advantages based on what I've said. Yeah. So another point here says water efficient landscaping irrigation system. Yeah, this is more like everywhere, particularly where you have green areas. So this recommended standard for outdoor, okay, sorry for the typo error, outdoor landscaping area, including lawns, garden, is less than 4 liters of water per square area, excluding rainwater. That's all through the year. So it means that, so whether dry season, whether rainy season, that's excluding water, rainfall, water from the rainfall, you are not expected by standard to use above 4 liters of water per square area in maintaining your lawns. If that happens and is more, means that there is water wastage. He said this can be achieved by replacing areas planted with water-intensive plants with native and adaptive plants. I'll give us an instance for GOP. There's a forecourt area that was constructed sometime last year. What happened was that there was a grass. They had grasses that, the first issue happened when, they came one day to cut grass, by the course of trimming grass, everything turned brown. Wow. People came to work in the following day, was like, this thing was so green over the weekend. What happened? There were escalations. I tell you the truth. There was escalation. How could have the grasses, who could cut these grasses so that it's dead like this? Who did this one? Who did this one? It became an issue. And we took the investigation further. And so we now weighed other two options. And we now realized that that is the nature of the plant. That was intentional. The intention of the person that planted it was that such that it will be easier to maintain the grasses in dry season. The implication is that when you trim it, particularly when you trim it very low, it will look, as if it's dried, but it will come up in a few days. What happens? We didn't, as far as that area is concerned, we didn't even differentiate it, but there were no much struggles and issues in trying to maintain that particular area during dry season, because the plants themselves were not that water-intensive plants. They were the plants that could adapt easily in dry season. So what it's telling us is that as a measure for us to ensure that we reduce the water consumption per square area of our green areas, we must begin to look at the options of, grasses that can adapt to, or that uses low water, or that can adapt to, drought, that can adapt to dry season. You say according to dry season, up to 50% of water applied to lawns and gardens is not absorbed by the plants, but are lost to evaporation. Sometimes we'll say we are watering the grasses, we're watering the plants. But what this is telling us that 50% of those water, like we have seen in the case of swimming pool, by the time you put those water and you leave away, most of them goes to the cloud through evaporation. And you say, I've watered the grass this morning. So, and you'll be doing that every morning. So it means that if 50% of the water is going back to the cloud through evaporation, means that 50% is actually a waste of water per se. Because it means that they didn't do the great impact that we needed them to do on the grasses. So it means that we are only applying those water for evaporation, not to actually water the grasses. So it means that we must be conscious of the plants, we must be conscious of the grasses, so that it could be such that, can be adaptive to dry seasons. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I put a break here. Do I have any feedback? So it doesn't look as if I'm the one talking to myself. Time is going, How many minutes do I have? Maybe I need to be.
Please continue, because we're actually enjoying it. I have a question on this, your last slide, on maintaining the landscape, or when you are done with the training. I don't know if anybody has any comments.
Okay, so maybe they can drop it after, so that I will take this. I'll try to be a bit fast so that we can manage our time well. So, rainwater harvesting system. When I grew up in the village, my place we are not living close to the water or to the river. And that time, boreholes were not too common. Yeah, unlike now, you see families, having boreholes around everywhere. There was this method. Yeah, in as much as it was being done, somebody could say is a local way. That somebody, you see that, beside every roof, there's a collection that goes into a drum. There's something that is like a collector that goes in some places. You will see they're able to do a tank and they put that collection and put it into the tank, such that in the course of dry season, in fact, when I was growing up, we had few places like that. They had that reservoir very big. In dry season, we'll go to them to go and buy water, and this is water they were able to collect during rainy season. So bringing that to sustainability views, sustainability points. What happens when you're able to save water through water harvesting is that you reduce the consumption of public supply. You reduce the the consumption on the borehole, because whatever sustainability measure you are taking in place or you're considering must be that reduces the impact on the main supply, on the power supply, on the power generation, on the main water supply, on the chemical application. So what happens here is that this water is collected, at least it can help them to flush toilets. At least it can help them to water their plants. At least it can also help them to wash plates. It can also help them to wash cars. And what this happens when you do it where the system is being tracked in terms of water consumption is being tracked, what happens? So we can be able to save as much as 10% for clothes washing and 5% for gardening and car washing. So which means from sustainability point of view, it is it's a recommendable measure of saving water. So I still know that in this Lagos now, it will look vague, it will look old, it will look strange when if like we used to do in the village. When there is rain now, you see somebody carrying a bucket to go and put outside, or you see somebody carrying whatever boat to go and put outside to go and collect water. It will more like this one. You do think you're in the village, but it's actually a recommended sustainability measure that when you do, you will do what? You will reduce the impact on the water supply from the supply source. Yeah, so the next slide. So water treatment and recycling system. Of course, this is what we know. This is recommended for project site facilities, as recycled water must be reused to replace water consumption from supply source. So what this does, what we have, in some instances, yes, we do our sewage treatment plant and we discharge water into the supply line, into the drainage lines, back to the streams, back to the yeah, but that is not 100% of what is recommended as a sustainable action. What is recommendable sustainability action is that those water should be treated. Those water has to be treated and collected back within the system. It means that after passing the water through the water treatment plant, it should also be collected and be reused within the system or within the facility. So instead of discharging it, we have a container to collect it, we have a container to after it's been treated, and we can now use it maybe for washing of cars, we can now use it for watering of grasses, instead of just allowing those treated water to. So which means, yeah, by the time you have a water treatment plant in place, you are still doing like 50% or 60% measure. The 100% sustainability requirement is that it should be recycled. Those water that is collected, or what we call gray water, which is collected from the sewage, the what's it called, the urinal systems and all the rest of them, the wash hand basins should be treated and recycled. So that's what this sustainability measure in terms of water savings recommends, such that the impact on the main supply line will be reduced. Yeah, so this I'll just be brief on this. This has to do with smart meters, flow meters, and all the rest of them. So this means that, is that when these are installed, they automatically create a consciousness and enhances savings between 10 to 20%. What happens is that, you will regularly put your eyes on it. And before you know, my water was so consumption last month. You wouldn't want it to pass. Or when it passes, you will like, what happened? How am I using much water? And that's why I also realized that there was a particular point when MTN was trying to implement some of the sustainability measures, that they bought this water flow meter across all the facilities. And still currently, the record of this is intact. Can you mute? I don't know who's talking.
So I don't even know. Okay, no, don't because not Karbashini na game.
Kefas, can you mute your mic? Kefas.
Okay, thank you. So it creates that consciousness. So as part of the sustainability plans and actions, we should adopt installation of this water flow meters so that we can be able to track our consumptions, ask questions where necessary. It's just like if I get a bill from NEPA, or I'm using a prepaid meter, and this month I use 10,000, next month I'm using 20,000. I should ask myself, what did I do last month differently that is making my bill to be higher? And this will also, increase our consciousness. Flow meter will also do what? It will also bring us to the point where we are now conscious of, what we use, conscious of how did it happen that we're using such quantity of water in a month or in a day or in 2 days. And by so doing, there will be steps, there will be necessary actions, there will be that consciousness, awareness, and enlightenment to be able to reduce water consumption. Yeah, so having said all that concerning the measures, we had already mentioned some of the advantages. And as been explained, it puts more money in our pocket when we reduce, water consumption. And also, it conserves natural resources. Because the whole essence of sustainability is that, we don't exhaust all the natural resources without putting the future generation into consideration. It means that as we're using, okay, if the plan, if the focus of saying by 2025, there will be two-thirds of population suffering scarcity of water, then what do you think the focus will be by 2030, by 2035, by 2040, if there are no sustainability actions in place? So one of the advantages of imbibing on this water savings is by what? We'll conserve natural resources. We're able to minimize the use. We're able to conserve. We're able to save, so that we're not the only ones. The future generation too will also be able to see what they use. That is the bottom line of sustainability. Sustainability is the future is put into consideration. You don't harm the future generation, you don't finish exhausting it, and the future generation does not see what to use. So when you do that, you are taking the steps of conserving natural resources. And of course, the carbon associated, if you're the one that used to pump through, you need to on your generator, you need to on whatever, before you're able to pump your water. You're also conserving all that resources that would have gone in the course of you pumping the water. And also enhances sustainability. Like we're trying to say, or that we have said, or we all know, by the time you do that, when you do that, you have actually succeeded in, complying to, sustainability. At least you have paid your own quota. There's something that is called carbon credit, and I know that in some countries, and also it's part of those measures. If you want to get any of these certifications for maybe age, lead, and all the rest of them, so there must be some things you're doing to be able to some carbon credit actions. What I mean by carbon credit is that the carbons that are discharged, what are you doing to be able to replenish? I remember those days we were saying we used to have a 3 planting day or something like that. So there must be something you're doing to be able to pay for the carbons you are emitting. So I thought I was also trying to say, in some countries as much as you're able to provide evidence that you're conserving or you're following this sustainable initiative, you are conserving carbon, you have reduced your carbon emission. Some places pay some benefits. There's some countries, you have trees, you have this one, and of course, it's part of the requirement for you to get certified in any of those sustainability certifications. You must be able to, for a building to be green building certified, you must be able to show that, yes, you actually, doing the necessary things to be able to minimize the carbon emissions. Improve system efficiency, of course, like we said, when you have auto systems, automatic systems, you have sensor tabs, what happens? You're able to, your system runs on its own. Things happens, there is no, you come to work in the morning, they say water finished yesterday night. You go and pump this morning, by evening, somebody will go in the toilet. There's one advert I used to watch those days. I don't know who is it. I've forgotten. But somebody had already entered the bedroom, with all the soap in his head and in his eyes. He turned the water and there was no water. And soap is already in the eye, soap is already in the head. So what will he do? Should he be able to, if he's living with people or is in a public place, should he run outside with all the water and with all the soap that is already with him, already removed his clothes? So you see that the system improves when we're able to, save water, and it also builds resilience. So it means that we know that even if there is no public supply, even if my borehole is down, as I have, backup, I have, something I could, fall back to. I am not under pressure, even if there's no light for me to pump water. I am not under pressure, even if I am having there's an issues with my borehole, or that you are now putting the equipment and the systems under pressure because of the need for water. So these are few of them. There are more advantages, but these are the few ones I've been able to put down here, which I'm sure should be able to call our consciousness to the use to the measures that has to do with water savings. Now, call to action. Like I said before, as part of the aims, I said we must not go back home and remain the same. We must be able to put some things in place. We must be able to take some certain actions such that we can know that, yes, we're actually doing the necessary things that we need to do by ensuring that there is implementation on water savings. Number one, we said part of those call actions, be a water hero. Turn off the tap, fix the leak, make every leak count, make it count. Take the necessary step from this day. I want to be a water hero. Anywhere I see leakage, I will report. Anywhere I see, I've gone to toilets sometimes, you see taps on. I've gone to toilets sometimes, I see that somebody flushed, maybe because the thing did not properly reset. And water wasn't pouring inside the toilet so I will go and push it again so that the thing can be properly seated and the thing will stop. So what we're saying is that be the water hero. Be the person that anywhere you see water wasting, you take action and say, no, I must no longer continue to allow this water. Use sensor-based taps in the restrooms. So that, that could, because the way we use water differs. So by the time, you use sensor taps. So which means if you don't have it in your facility, you can note it down. You can begin to, make recommendations. The number one, you can begin to call your theme, improve your orientation and, promote this consciousness on water use and appoint water hero among your team members. Then number third, promote measures for use of water from sinks, showers, laundry for gardening, or flushing toilets. Reuse, like I said, if we're able to get, our sewage treatment plant function effectively, we channel the water that is being treated, we can use them for washing our cars, we can use them for laundry. If we're able to collect water during rainy season, we can use them for other activities. The question is that you must do something in this area to ensure that you actually reusing your water so that you don't use water one-off, like it's being promoted now concerning nylon. There are states now that are putting a timeline to the use of nylon. Most of the, supermarkets that you go to before they give you nylon. So now, most of them now, the ones that still have it are selling it because they want to encourage the reuse of nylon. And so that's the mentality we should get to when it comes to water. We should have to encourage the reuse of water. water plants. Okay, watering. This is supposed to be watering. Sorry, watering plants early morning or late evening to reduce evaporation and use drought. I've explained that. Drought-resistant grasses that can be able to withstand heat, that are not really strained when it doesn't show when when it's not that they are fresh during rainy season and in the dry season they are dead. So we should be able to study grasses and ask questions, specifically select those ones that can be able to resist an amount of dry season. And also water in the morning, early in the morning, water in the evening when you know that the sun is not much, and to be able to actually do his work. And when you water close to the afternoon when the sun is already out, and as you are pouring the water, the is going again to the clouds via evaporation. So we have to come to the consciousness that will also understand or teach our gardeners or let our gardeners know that we must water early in the morning or water late in the evening, watering of grasses. Encourage reporting of leaks or waste and improve orientation and water conservation. So we need to improve that orientation. That's actually the essence of this training. We need to increase and improve conservation of water. Report every leaks that you see, report every leakages. Somebody also said you're able to save water. Okay, I think I have it in conclusion. You're able to have 10% or thereabout savings on water consumption through orientation, during reorientation. By the time people understand, just like what we've done now, if we're able to track it, you will see that it will relate directly to the water consumption per facility. You see that we're able actually to be able to make some savings by this orientation. So imagine when this orientation now goes further than where we are, we're able to now let more people know that this is necessary. We're able to let more people know that this is something that we need to do. So what happens? We'll now be able to improve in the general water savings and consumption across location. I've also talked about use submetering so that we can be able to track our water savings. Combine with energy savings and water wastage reduction program. So it means that we need to take action in terms of ensuring energy savings. Of course, there's a direct proportional relationship between when you save water and you are saving energy. So they are related. There's direct proportional relationship between them. It means that if you're able to apply water savings measure, you are directly also saving energy consumption. So these are call to action. These are some of the things that we need to do to be able to save water in our facilities. Then in conclusion, orientation and behavioral changes promotes orientation and behavioral changes promotes awareness and instill water savings habits, encouraging responsible use and quick action on waste. Together, we can or they can enhance the effectiveness of water savings technologies and practice. So together, we can all, put all the measures in place, bringing water savings technologies and practice in place, and our own effort in terms of orientation. By putting this together, we'll be able to improve on our ability to save water in our various facilities. I hope I've not been able to confuse us. I know I've been able to drive my point home and ensuring that we'll begin the practice of water savings. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you very much. I will sit back for Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chindeu. Thank you for this wonderful, small presentation.
Your voice is cracking. I can't hear you well. I can't hear you well. Your voice is cracking.
I'm sure you can hear me, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Your presentation is very, very simple, straightforward, and then we can easily understand what you are saying because we have the pictures that made all the illustrations very, very simple.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for taking us through these action plans. One thing about sustainability is it has gone beyond aspiring. It has gone beyond being aspirational about sustainability practices. It's actionable. Everybody is supposed to stand up and do something. Whether I like it or not, one way or the other, there must be something you see. I was telling somebody one day that I want to go and plant a tree somewhere. This one is telling your house, especially if you have block washing system, Thank you for actually explaining it. So for me, this is all about taking action, do something to safeguard the environment and to safeguard the resources that God gives us, so that the future generation can enjoy something. Okay, so thank you so much for this presentation. Thank you for telling us that we have to take our work through inspection seriously and we should report leaks. Thank you for telling us some measures and for ways. And then thank you for telling us about the rainwater harvesting system. That is actually an ancient of days use of preserving water. I don't know, majority of us, we used to bath in the rain. So nobody will say, hey, I did not do that. It's something that is normal, especially for our generation. Then we used to bath, take a shower under the rain. They said it's even healing. The best way of showering, not for those of us that enter the shower and use some of these detergents. And then thank you. The only thing I'm going to need more explanation on is the water efficient landscaping irrigation system, where you talk about us using less than, you should not use more than 4 liters of water in a square meter of lawn. I don't know how we can manage that with majority of our facilities that have sprinklers. How do we manage that flow to get minimum of 4 liters per square meter? And then thank you for talking about the smart sensors meters for water conservation. And then the diagram you presented for as like an advantage of water conservation, telling us that everything we do has an effect in the environment, and then it can help us to get more credit when we want to go to the sustainability banks for access to some things. So thank you so much. And then for the call for action, like I asked before, I would like you to explain briefly on the landscaping minimum of 4 liters of water per square. I want to understand that. But before you do that, I don't know if you have questions. Someone says, okay, awesome and intelligent master, quite educative and insightful. Thank you. These are the responses I'm getting from the question and answer. And then please tell the slides. They're requesting for the slides at the end of this training. I don't know if anyone has any questions, because we are rounding up before we talk about the landscaping issue. I don't know if you have questions. Bali, Amuche, Basi, Chidera, Gideon, Emo, Emeka, Emmanuel, Engineer Osi. Hi, Engineer Osi. Good afternoon. I'll be expecting a question from you, Engineer Osi, or a comment. If you don't have questions, you can contribute to the topic of the day. You can say something, you can add your own ideas. Okay. So I'm expecting something from Engineer Osi. I can see Engineer Van de Pan. Okay, you're welcome. I can have questions, comments. I can see Mr. John. Good afternoon, Mr. John. And then KFAS. This is time for us to make additional comments or can ask questions. Mr. Chinedu, while we are waiting for their question, please can you explain more on the landscaping minimum of 4 liters per square meter of land of lawn maintenance, please? Okay, someone sent a question, Saratu. Okay, Mr. Chinedu, hold on, let me read Saratu's question. Saratu asked a question. She said, Lisa, how can FMs promote work with them? Thank you. That is a very interesting one. So, Mr. Chinedu.
Okay, thank you, Saratu. Thank you. Yeah, so like I already said, that's actually the essence of this call to action or call to actions. So I've already said we should be able to, point or nominate or, when you get to your facility, said, let that consciousness, or reorientate your people. So number one is that orientation must start. You must, from this learning, you must be able to pass that down to your team. It doesn't matter who, whether you're a plumber, whether you are a gardener, or whether you're a cleaner. If you see this leakage, you must be able to, report them. Then another thing you can also do is that your facility. You can do an audit, of your facilities in terms of water taps. Do you have sensor taps? Are you using sensor tap? Are you using this double flushing WCs? If you are not, so that's a call to action. So you can begin to make recommendations to the management or whoever to tell them this is what we need to do so that we can be compliant in terms of sustainability. So and so many other steps we can put, but at least start from that orientation. Also look at your energy, what's it called, strategies that you can put in place to reduce water. You see, what happens in your facility. If you are sincere enough to yourself or to ourselves, you can be able to see and testify that this is actually where, after this training, you can be able to see clearly, this is where I know that water is being wasted from my facility. And you can go back and begin to address it. But it must start from someday. It must start from someone. Someone must be able to kickstart that responsibility in terms of water savings. If we don't do that, we'll still go back and continue in the same old way. Thank you. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, Mr. Chindeu. Then for the landscaping.
All right, so let's go there. So yeah, I said the standard, the recommendation is 4 liters of water per square meter. That is the recommendation, the recommended standard. That does not mean that we don't have what's it called, facilities that are using 10 liters or that are using 20 liters, per square meter. And because of that, to be able to achieve that, we have had recommendations. And that recommendation is that those your plants, like I was able to explain, and the good thing is that this recommendation does not say you use 4 liter in rainy season and use 8 liter in dry season. So it means that averagely, the rate of water consumption, for your grasses and your green area must be maintained at a maximum of 4 liter per square meter. So like I said, excluding the rainwaters, So that you can, of course, it's a simple calculation. Water, if you have like, what's it called, a container, you have maybe a tank that supplies water to the green area, you can be able to check the quantity that you use to water that area vis-a-vis the square area of those green area. You can be able to do your calculation and be able to see what, the average square area consumption of water is. And besides those measures, how can you do that? How can you be able to achieve this reduction? He said, plant, the ones that are intensive, that native grasses, the grasses that are resistant or that can be adaptive to, drought, that can be adaptive to dry season, that we all know that, some grasses or different type of grasses have their responses and their behaviors to different weathers. So what this place is telling us that we must be able to intentionally look out for those grasses that can adapt to, or that have maximum adaptation in terms of dry season. That, yeah, I'll give you an instance concerning GOP, that, yeah, you can actually manage it well to be able to, so that it's not that during dry season, you will not have to put the tap there. I've also seen some green areas that, when you are going home, you just open tap, leave the hose there, and go and come back the following day. So you now imagine, the level of water consumption, the water that will be used in those areas for maintenance of this grass. So what it's saying is that look out for these grasses and also be conscious in terms of, the watering, because we also in that action plan also said ensure you water early in the morning or late in the evening, because greater percentage of the water goes back to the clouds through evaporation. So which means if the sun is already coming out and you're watering, it means that you are actually feeding the clouds and not the grasses. So that's what that simply means. Change your timing for watering and also look out for those grasses that can be adaptive to dry seasons. I hope that puts more explanation to it.
Yes, yes, Mr. Chin.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Chinedu. Well done.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for this
Thank you.
training on water conservation. Just a small question I have to ask. For sites that have sprinklers, how
Yeah.
long should the sprinklers be left on before turning them off?
Okay. So
Okay.
I might not still be able to give you the accurate because the nature and the type of the grasses differs, and also the location also differs. I don't know where you are, but I know in the places like Lagos, for instance, you will not use the water consumption in terms of watering the grasses to compare with a place in the north, because the locations, the humidity, the nature of the soil, and all the rest of them varies. So, but the bottom line is that if there are some, of course, the what will warrant the number of hours and time you spend, watering your grasses is actually on the nature and state of the grasses. If the grasses are already dying or they're already changing color, means that you need to put more attention, or you need to put more pressure in terms of your watering. But if they look green, what do? You just, even if you need to water, you just put small water here and there and go home. And another thing again is that we must not also rely on corrective measures. What I mean by corrective measures is that you now wait until the grasses are dead already. You are now trying to revive the grasses. It's actually different from when you are trying to maintain the green. So look at the grasses you have, their states. Look at the type of grass you also have, and that should be able to speak directly. Because I think the bottom line is the results you're getting, how they are responding. Of course, if your grass is turned green, the length of the period for you to water will be different. So I can't say specifically, but the bottom line is it all depends on your location, your facility, your state of grass. But the bottom line is that you don't have to, just leave it and go home. You don't have to anyhow. And I know there are sprinklers. I can't quote correctly now, but there are still some sustainable sprinkler systems that the rate of sprinkling actually is reduced compared to the conventional, compared to the old ones. The water they dispense or the discharge per minute is less than what the conventional water. So that could also be another way to also be able to improve the taps, the sprinklers that have what's it called, control over the pressure, not the pressure, over the flow, that has that reduced flow rate, so that the period, the water consumption per period can actually reduce. So that's just what I want to respond to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chinelu.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have another question, or comments, or remarks, or additional ideas? Malik, okay, Engineer OC. Let's hear from Engineer OC.
Afternoon, everyone.
Hi, good afternoon.
I've learned a lot. Thank you to the facilitator. I've learned a lot, particularly with the illustration you gave at the beginning of the water and tap analogy. Nothing really much from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Engineer OC. Do we have more questions? Because we are rounding up, we're about to close. This session is very, very simple. Simple and straight to the point. If not, okay, thank you, Mr. Chindu. I can see Jeff now. Okay. Do we have some of our subcontractors here so that we can briefly take our attendance? Do we have someone for Squeaky Clean? We don't, I'm not seeing Triumph people here. These are the people that are managing our facilities. These are the people that are expected to be on this training. Not seeing anybody. Mr. Chinedu, your labor subcontractors are not here. Mr. Emeka, I can't see anybody apart from your team, your colleagues. I can't see our subcontractors here. And true, I'm not seeing Triumph people here. They're supposed to be this training. Okay. We have some comments on the chat box. It said water flowers early in the morning. This is from paper. Water flowers early in the morning and later in the evening to minimize water loss through evaporation. Thank you, paper. And then Mr. Paul Edalasi, thanks so much, sir. I really enjoy your lecture. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Okay. Okay, thank you, everybody. Mr. Chinedu, I think we are going to wrap up now, but someone is going to do a vote of thanks to Mr. Chinedu. But before that, we'll be having another session this in July next month. We are going to be sending the notification out in all the platforms. And please, whenever you get such flyers or such notifications of trainings, please send to your friends. Because these are trainings that you pay so much to attend in other places or in other training. Here we are getting it free of charge. Knowledge is being shared. So when you see our flyers, share with others. Other people, must not be a colleague, anybody that is in this our profession, we share it with others. Another training is coming up next month. That one we are going to have, that one will be a health and safety training. And then after that, we'll have another one on sustainability. We are going to be doing that. And at the end of the month, we are going to have a training on cleaning. We want to train all the operatives. That's on that particular training, we'll expect janitors, most especially janitors, to join. So the flyer will equally be out so that they can learn how to maintain. So Mr. Gabriel is here. Mr. Gabriel is going to be the vote of thanks. Mr. Gabriel, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Okay, yeah, good afternoon. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you everybody for attending this insightful session on water conservation strategy. Thank you to and I believe everybody gained one or two new businesses with respect to water conservation within our facility of requirements. I will urge us to adopt all these practices going forward as a means of best practice and sustainable measures within our facility operations. Kindly keep with us for the next session holding in July. We'll ensure that we send early reminders to engage you and also aid early participation. So thank you everybody for your time. Thank you for keeping with us in this FM Unite session. You have a productive day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you as you are signing
you, everyone,
off.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. I'll call you. Thank you, Abaremi.
Thank you,
Amuche. Thank you, Luashola, Basi, Cheta Global Resources. Thank you, Chidera. Thank you, Gideon. Thank you, Emeka. I think I'll call Emeka as well. Thank you so much. Engineer Manuel, thank you. Engineer Vin, thank you. Madam Esther, thank you. Greg, thank you. Chuchu, well done. K-Pass, thank you for your comments. Messi, thank you. Abafemi, Obina, Ogonaya. Mr. Ogonaya, well done. Olushola Ajayi, hi, how you doing? Mr. Paul, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Saratu, thank you. Victoria Wacho, well done. From AXC, well done. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. Yeah, thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.